Hello, race fans. Welcome to episode number 14 of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ovens, alongside my co-host, Clint Miller, and also alongside running the soundboard, B-rad, with us tonight. Or today, this morning.
This afternoon.
It's not quite this afternoon yet.
No, you're right.
We are doing our second on-location episode here of the podcast, and we are out here at a place familiar to you, Clint.
Yeah, Lighthouse Lanes, Oswego, New York.
We are out here in Oswego, New York at Lighthouse Lanes here on East Albany Street.
Jim Champagne Drive.
You got it. We've got a nice show lined up for our listeners this week. We've got 5 local drivers from the Oswego Speedway that are going to join us. We've got a couple of them already here in attendance, ready to go. And before we get started, of course, we want to thank our sponsors, our weekly sponsors. We are fueled by motorsportsnutrition.com and marketed weekly by horsepower360.com. Also, our associate sponsors, Penny and Electronics, Creekside Entertainment, and Race Chaser Online and Speed 77 Radio. They help bring us bring the show to you, fans, every week. So thank you. And also fans joining us on YouTube, iTunes, and Podbean.com. So, Clint, as we're getting started here, kind of opening up the show, obviously one thing that we'll talk about real quick before we dive into everything, I heard there was a race last night.
Something about a little midget sprint cars.
Some little midget show. Hopefully all the fans enjoyed that coverage on MAV TV.
How did you enjoy it, Stephen?
I didn't enjoy it at all. I got to call my local dish provider about that. I wasn't very happy, but I know you enjoyed it. It was quite a show.
I did, and I tried to update our listeners to the main happenings going on, and we got to congratulate Brian Clausen, the Bullet, for he pretty much dominated the show.
Yeah,
Kevin Swindell coming from 14th to finish second, and Christopher Bell, which is a name that anybody that follows
we're going to be hearing for a while.
We're going to be hearing for a long time.
Yeah.
And for the local guys, T-Mac started 8th, faded back to 14th or 15th, and ended up with a good solid 6th-place run. So it just goes to show you that the man can wheel anything other than a late model.
All right. Well, that is the one news item that we wanted to get out of the way. And we also, as I said, we have 5 local drivers here that are going to join us. We've got a few of them here already. We're going to get ready to... I think we'll bring the young gun in first. We'll talk to Camden first when we get back on the other side of our break. Any other news that we'd like to speak about? Don't really have a lot in our local area for the dirt track stuff. Not too many announcements.
No.
Still some things developing over at Canandaigua and with Dirt Car and everything, but we'll let them shake their business out.
We did get a confirmation of a big show we got coming up at the end of January. Brett Deo.
Yes, we did want to preview our show next week. We have both Dean Reynolds from the Empire Super Sprints is going to join us to talk about their 2014 schedule, and we also have Brett Deo, who we've talked about numerous times in the last month or so with the Brett Deo Motorsports Media shows and events that are going to be happening. But hey, let's can that dirt track stuff for a while. We got to talk some short track asphalt racing. And we will do that on the other side of the break. We're going to bring in Camden Proud, who's going to be a rookie driver in the small block Supermodified division. And, again, on the other side of the break, we'll get Camden down in the chair and we'll put him in the hot seat for 15 minutes. You guys are listening to Turn 5.
MotorsportsNutrition.com is Turn 5's official home of race day and recovery supplements. Developed for racers, by racers, with over 30 years behind the wheel. MotorsportsNutrition.com has the right Advocare supplements to keep you going. On race day, turn to healthy Advocare products trusted by NASCAR, the NCAA, Olympic athletes, and 410 Sprint Car and World of Outlaws driver Ryan Smith. Visit them on the web at www.motorsportsnutrition.com or call Christy at 330-431-9714 and tell them Steve and Clint sent you.
Hey Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online.
Penn Yan Electronics is your Radio Shack dealer in Penn Yan.
They have everything to keep your phone, computer, and home theater system sounding sharp. Visit them on Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan, or call them at 315-536-7700 and see our favorite salesman, Clint Miller. Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, fueled by motorsportsnutrition.com and marketed to you weekly by horsepower360.com. Clint, we're going to dive into our first interview of the day here, and we're going to bring in a guy who, I don't know, he's about half our age, Clint.
Over half our age.
And he's getting ready to start his rookie
Less than
season
half.
with the small block Supermodifieds here at Oswego Speedway. Camden Proud, going to be the driver of the number 2?
54 this year.
54, okay. Now, 54, where'd you come up with the number?
Well, we just thought it was my old number was 04, and that's what my dad ran when he raced at Oswego, but that was already taken, and we wanted to think of one that was kind of unique to me and nobody had really ran before, so we came up with that. Kind of thought it sounded a little bit like 04.
Okay, all right. I was a little afraid you were going to tell me you were a Kyle Busch fan.
No, not really.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
You can stay.
That's good. So, tell us a little bit about your racing history. I read that you're going to be making the jump from the quarter midgets all the way up to the small block super modified. Was quarter midgets where you got started?
Yeah, that's where I started at 4 years old, and I did that for 9 years at the Oswego track and up at the fairgrounds in Syracuse.
Did a little indoor racing.
No indoor racing.
Oh, no.
outside.
Oh, on the out.
Yep.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. I actually, when I was 15 years old, I announced at that track on a whim. But, all right, so quarter midgets, and now we're going to go up to the small block super modified. I know you did some test sessions the week before Classic, I think you said.
Classic
you did
week,
a Fast
actually,
Friday, and then the test session during Classic week. So you've had a little bit of seat time in the car.
Yeah.
What's your reaction so far?
It felt pretty good. It was really smooth, and my biggest thing was getting used to the shifting, and I, took a couple of sessions getting used to that and letting off. But other than that, the car felt really good, and it was a lot of fun.
Now, as far as shifting goes, how much shifting? Is it just once you get onto the track, or is there more than that?
Well, it starts in first gear, and then you got to go up to second, and then up to third, and that's what you use for the race.
Okay. So, are you in third when you would start a race, or?
Yeah, when you start the race, you're in third.
Okay, gotcha.
So you were just learning the basically to run a standard.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, okay, with now you've got. I read an article that Danny Kapuscinski did about the two young guns that are going to be in the small block supers this year. Have you talked to the Lacerdo kid at all about his experience? Are you guys friends? Or
Yeah, we're good friends. I've known Anthony for a while. He actually raced quarter midgets with me, and I looked up to him a lot last year. He did a great job and really handled everything well out there and gained a lot of respect. So hopefully I can do just what he did. He did a great job.
That's great. Now, as we find quite a bit in racing, this is a family thing. The Proud name has been racing at Oswego for years. I mean, I started coming to Oswego to film the races back in, I don't know, I think it was 04, 05, somewhere around that time period, and I was hearing that name at that point. So kind of continuing the family legacy here at the Speedway.
Yep. My dad started, I think, in 1994 and with his own limited, and then moved up to a super, and in 01 he built his own car with my uncle Chris, and Chris raced that for years, and then my dad stopped himself and helped me with the quarter midgets, and now we're back again with our own car for me. So
cool.
It's always different when you're bringing your son up into it, son or daughter, son in this case, and to want to back off and then to get back in it. I can see his point.
Yeah.
Now, I see you've got some folks with you here today. Who'd you bring with you today?
Yeah, my dad's here, and my uncle Marty. Marty's going to commit to helping with us this year. He helped us out on the crew last year, and
cool.
My dad's done everything on the car. He's just constantly, working really hard up there every weekend, getting up early on Saturday mornings to make sure I'm out there every week. So really appreciate everybody's hard work.
Well, we've all grown up with dads that did the same thing, so we know where you're coming from on that aspect. As far as getting the car ready for 2014, where are you guys at so far?
We're finishing up the body right now and kind of working on a design and graphic design and that type of thing. We got to build a new nose and, try some new things on the front end. So
now,
there.
Color schemes. We got color schemes picked out yet? What you got anything that you're leaning toward?
Yeah, we're looking into a red, black, and white. That's we're on board with Step 1 Creative here in Oswego, and that's kind of their color scheme, so we want to make it look a little bit like that.
Very cool. Very cool. Looking ahead to this season, I know you've got the couple of test sessions done. I can't say test sessions today. I just can't do it. As far as the racing goes, do you have anything mapped out in your mind as to, what your goals are going to be for the year? It's going to be a brand new experience for you. Yeah. So, is that intimidating at all? Or?
It is a little bit. I'm sure I'll be nervous the first week. And I think, there'll probably be a consi the first week too. So I just got to worry about even making the feature the first week.
Sure.
But just got to keep the car in one piece and respect my equipment and everybody else's. And hopefully the finish will take care of itself when doing that.
Now I have a question. Just there's a lot of series races that if you're a rookie, you have to start scratch. Is that Oswego thing, or don't you know, or haven't you even looked into it yet?
I think the first 3 weeks is the rules of rookie has to start in the back, so I have to come up from there for sure.
I know when I raced in 04, I didn't have to do that, but I wanted to do that because you don't learn if you're piled up on the trailer, you don't want to lose respect of your fellow drivers by doing something silly. So,
now, the other thing to that too is. You've probably been coming to these races. Your family's been racing here before. Do you feel like you have with that experience just being at the track and kind of knowing how a race night goes? And certainly you've got family that you can pull information from their past experience too.
Yeah, I've been coming here forever, so it's just going to be awesome to finally get to do it myself after coming for so many years. And I was just focusing really on the groove last year and watching everybody else's GoPros and taking tips from my dad and uncle on what to do. And
you young kids really get into those GoPro videos, huh?
Yeah, I love mine, yep.
When we were racing, I used to watch the videos that they would shoot from the roof, to try and pick things up or something like that. But you guys got GoPros you can watch. You got along with the videos that they make. But that GoPro's got to be something that you can kind of rely on to pick up some good information.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to use it as a big learning tool, and that's kind of what I did. We got it on for the second test session last year, and I just keep watching it over and over and thinking on where I can improve and my entry.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The nice thing about the GoPros is you can hear your sound of your car right then.
Exactly. Yep.
When you watch the video from the tower, you're hearing all the cars.
Yeah.
When you're in your car, you can hear throttle let off, throttle pick up. Now, I have one question to ask you. When you were testing, did they take lap times? So do you have an idea of how you were compared to everybody else? Yeah,
we put the transponder on after a couple sessions. He didn't want to put it on the first one because he was afraid I'd be looking up at the board, but...
It's probably a good idea. The first couple, you just want to get acclimated to that car. Right. Now, let's talk about that real quick. Quarter midget to the small block super, that had to feel quite different.
For sure. The power is the huge difference. And letting off, you didn't really let off at all at the Fulton track. At Syracuse, you did going into the turns a little bit, and then you'd be right back on. But throttle control is huge, and where you get back on, and then you can't get back on too quick or you'll spin right out.
So before I was interrupted, how were your lap times?
I think the best I had was a 19.7, which is pretty good. I was happy with that.
Good.
Very good. All right, man. Well, I got to tell you, I want to wish you luck.
Thank you.
Going to be a learning year for you. SBS class is tough. They got a lot of cars. That's always a healthy car count. And to be completely honest with you, it's those guys out there are wheeling it. Those cars are very, they're very equal. And to make passes and make moves, you really got to wheel those cars. So before we get you out today, thank you for coming out, obviously.
No problem.
And we want to give you a chance to thank your crew and your sponsors and everybody that's going to help put that 54 car on the track.
Yeah, first off, I got to thank Step One Creative and Shane, Mark, Shelby, and Mallory over there. I'm really excited to do a sponsorship with them. They're a great graphic design and marketing firm, and I think they're just as excited as I am for it. And we're going to work with them on the graphics for the car, like I said. So I'm really excited about that, and wanted to welcome back Kent's Body Shop, Beacon Hotel, and All Seasons Inn as well.
Very good, man. And I got to tell you, Clint, this is very well spoken.
Very well spoken, young man.
He's gonna do himself well this year for sure. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that was Camden Proud joining us here on the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. You can find his 54 car on the track each and every week up here at Oswego Speedway starting May 3rd. We'll head off to a break, and when we come back, we're going to bring in our first Supermodified driver of the day, Michael Barnes. Stay tuned. You're listening to Turn 5.
Turn 5 is marketed weekly by Horsepower360.com. At Horsepower360, they know how crucial branding is for your business or product to race fans locally and nationwide. Make the wrong move and damage to your brand can be irreversible. Make the right move with expert staff at Horsepower360, and the dividends can be endless. They also develop and promote race drivers and teams like 410 Sprint Car driver and World of Outlaws driver Ryan Smith and Rob Warco Racing's number 94. Visit them online at www.horsepower360.com.
Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700. Penn Yan Electronics is your Radio Shack dealer in Penn Yan. They have everything to keep your phone, computer, and home theater system sounding sharp. Visit them on Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan, or call them at 315-536-7700 and see our favorite salesman, Clint Miller. Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, fueled by motorsportsnutrition.com and marketed to you weekly by horsepower360.com. Clint, we got our next guest lined up for us here, and that is none other than the driver this year will be of the 68 car for Sorrell Racing, Michael Barnes. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's talk about your history with the Speedway. You've been really a fixture around Oswego for years now. How did you start at Oswego?
It was right around, I think I graduated high school 2002, so it was right about the end of 2002. It's family friends of Watson's. They had been up here racing, and they had a extra car. And they put me in it and ran my first season in 2003, and I just kind of never went away.
What prior?
Amazing. It's amazing how that happens. How once you're in, and that's it.
Yeah. Now, prior to that, had you had any kind of racing experience before? Or?
Yeah, I started racing quarter midgets. I was about 6 years old, back in about 91. Ran quarter midget at Syracuse. The Oswego County Club that we have now, that didn't even open up until about the last year I ran. We ran Syracuse. We did a lot of traveling too. We raced out in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, quite a bit towards the end of my career, and then we moved up to 600 micro sprints and ran at Lime Rock out in Caledonia, New York.
Yep, been to Lime Rock.
We did a couple of half seasons with that. One summer I went out to Ohio and worked for Nervo Coggin Racing, NC Chassis Company now. They're a quarter midget manufacturer company. And their son had a USAC midget and Silver Crown team, and I worked on their team, traveled with them, went to the Silver Crown and USAC midget races. I did that for a couple of summers.
Okay.
And then, like I said, right about 2003, I started running full-time at Oswego, running the SBS class for the Watson family, and been running Oswego pretty much ever since.
Yeah, and I know at one point there, I think it was it 06 or 07, you had a chance to move up to the Supermodifieds, or was it a little bit later than that?
Yeah, I ran for the Watsons there in 0304, and in 2005 I got hooked up with Terry Salazzo, and Mike Murphy was been a good friend of mine. He sponsored me, was my tire guy. He opened a lot of doors for me. He kind of hooked me up with Terry, and we ran for a season, and we started doing good. We won the Mr. Limited race, won a race at Spencer, won another one at Oswego. And he was good friends with Barry Kingsley and Joey Wickham, who had a Super. Mm-hmm. And I got hooked up with them and ran the 2005 Classic. And that was the first time I ever drove a Super.
Oh, wow.
And
biggest race of the year.
Yep. First time I ever ran a Super. We that was a real fun weekend, real memorable. We had Joey Wickham had an old Graves car, and Barry Can was the head wrench on it and took care of it in his little garage, and we had a fun few weeks, helping getting the car ready, and came up and we made the show. And
wow, that's awesome.
Which is great right off the bat.
Yep, we made the show through the heat race too. But I was running pretty good lap times, and I definitely choked under the pressure of qualifying. It was about a half a second slower than I had been in the last practice, and we didn't make it in on time. Had to run the heats, and got in the heat, and put it in the show, and that was 2005. So that was running with Joey Wickham. That was my first Super deal. Yeah. And then 2006 was kind of a mixed bag of SBS, and I got some other Super opportunities there, and it kind of progressed.
Yeah. Now, from that first Classic, is there one memory that stands out the most from that weekend? Was it making the show, or
something you can talk about on radio,
or maybe something you can't talk about?
No, you know what? I'll tell you. One thing that sticks out. If you ever get a chance to meet Joey Wickham, he's a character, and Barry Can, he passed away on us a few years. He was a great guy. I couldn't thank him enough. And my buddy Mike Murphy, he did a lot for me. He put that deal together, like he did a few other deals for me, and really helped me move up into Supers. We started out. We went out, and they pushed me off, and immediately came back in the pits. Power steering rack was broke. Changed racks, went back out. I did my first 10 laps, and I think we ran like 17.8, and they immediately said, okay, you're out of rookie warm-ups, got to run with the rest of the guys. So we came back the next day and went out, oil pump seized up on the first lap. Now, first time I've been out there with cars. Ain't been out there with nobody.
Yeah.
Well, naturally, I'm a little nervous. Get that fixed, and we got the last 30-minute practice before time trials. That's it. Now, I got like 8 laps in a Super.
Oh, man.
So, they basically say, go out there and do as many laps as you want. Just go out and run. So I get out there. I get going pretty comfortable. I come in, make some stagger adjustments, a couple changes. I get going pretty good. I run like 17 4s and 5s. I passed Doug Haveron and Timmy Snyder, and I came up to Bentley Warren, and I just backed right off like half a straightaway. Caught right up to him, and I got up to him, and I was like, I'm going to slow down now.
Yeah, I'm not going to do anything to mess this up.
Yeah. And for anybody that might be listening this week that's newer to the short track asphalt racing, Bentley Warren is like, he's like the Brett Hearn of the short track super modified stuff. The guy's done it all, and he's a legend. Just came out with a book.
Yep.
Yep. You're right.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Let's talk about the upcoming year, 2014. Got a new deal with Sorrell Racing. Going to be running the Hawk chassis, and it's going to be the number 68. Can you tell us a little bit about the significance of the number?
The Sorrells. Gary Sorrell was really close with Jim Champagne, and they've always been the 08. When Gary raced, he was the 08. Kind of in honor of Jimmy, because Jimmy was the 8-ball.
Yeah.
And that's been their number ever since he's ran, and since McKnight and Dodaro and other guys have driven for him. Jack Murphy passed away this last year, who was a good friend of mine, good friend of theirs. So as we put this new team together with the Sorrells and Joey Hawksby, they decided they would use the 6 in honor of Jack and the 8 in honor of Jimmy. So that's where the 68s come from for this season.
That's cool. And a lot of people that are listening to the show that are fans and follow the things that happen here at the Speedway, they're going to know those right off the bat. And
Irish Jack Murphy, right?
Yeah, Irish Jack Murphy. And I think that was this year that they did, because I think it was right before this past season that he had passed away. Or was it right after the season started?
And Jack and his wife Dolores, they've been a huge part of the ISMA organization forever, and it was the week of the first race for ISMA, and unfortunately he passed away on us there. And I think they did an extra 6 laps for Jack, and I think they're doing that again for the opener this year. I believe they're doing an extra. I think it's going to be a 56 lapper.
Yeah, I think I did see that. Yeah, that's good, and those are the things that you got to do to keep the memory, and I'm sure there's a lot of folks
that's what racing does.
Yeah, absolutely. So this year going to be running the season here at Oswego with the 68 car. I assume that'll include the points shows and then the classic as well.
Yeah,
so,
that's our plan right now is to try to run the whole season, and classic obviously.
Yeah,
and I got a midget that I own myself that I'm hoping to run IRP with in July and with a USAC race, and hit a couple of NEMA shows in New England, and they come back up here I think September 13th.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I know that the Supermodified and the stuff here at the Speedway is just one portion of kind of what you do in the racing. So
yeah, I like to do as much as I can. Maybe I'd like to do some TQ stuff again. I've done that a little bit in the past. I got to go out of town to work for a few months, so the indoor racing is usually kind of out for me, but I wouldn't mind doing some TQ racing again, maybe someplace other than Oswego too, maybe out of town somewhere where them guys run weekly and stuff.
What is where do they run those weekly? I think the only places I've heard of is like when they do those indoor shows and when they run some here.
Yeah, they run indoors. They run Wall Stadium down in Jersey a little bit, and they kind of got a series down there. They run in some tracks in Pennsylvania, Jersey, stuff like that. I'm not sure if they still run them out to Lancaster or not, out here towards Rochester or not, but
I know they were trying to set up that indoor show in Rochester that unfortunately never came through. We were looking forward to that ourselves.
Yes, we were.
So, let's talk about do you have with the things that you have raced in your career, is the Supermodified, is that the top level for you? Is that your favorite, or do you have preference, or something that you have more fun in, maybe?
I mean, the Supers are just incredible to drive. I mean, just not a brute power you got in them things. I mean, we're between 800, 900 horsepower now, and an 1,850-pound car,
and it's sitting right next to you.
They got so much. I mean, they just even non-wing, we got so much downforce now, and I mean, you can really drive them hard, and when you put a wing on top of them, you can pretty much drive them as hard as you want.
That was going to be my next question. Was when they put the wings on. I mean, those guys just fly.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's incredible. But a midget is. I really love racing midgets too. I mean, you're just up on the wheel on them things, and they are as twitchy and as fun to drive as anything as you're ever going to drive. And
cool.
So
probably not stuck to the track near as much as the
no. They're not as stuck down on the ground nearly as hard. And but a super, I guess because that's what I've been accustomed to doing the last few years, and I guess is my niche. I guess if I had to say what I drive Supermodified. So yeah, I'd say the Supers.
That's cool. Very good. Well, I want to thank you for coming out and joining us here at Lighthouse Lanes for our Oswego Speedway show. We want to give you an opportunity to thank the folks that help you get to the racetrack and all that good stuff. So we'll give you that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely want to thank Gary and Eric Sorrell, and Joey Hawksby, my car owners, for giving me an opportunity. Without them, I wouldn't be doing this. So I'm definitely looking forward to this new season. I'd like to thank our sponsors: Scribatown Inn, Gaffney's Lawn Care, Millennium Music, LaGraff's Pub, HRW Construction, Blackburn Graphics, Inkspot, Pullins Plumbing, Good Times of Oswego, and Fusion Signs and Designs, and Mark's Pizzeria.
Very cool. Can't do it without all the good sponsors behind you, and we're looking forward to seeing that 68 car and everything that stands behind it this year on the track. So
hope so. Hope we'll see it in Victory Lane.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love that. Thank you very much, and we also had to pass along a hello from Tom Baker to you. So.
Hi, Tom Baker.
So if you're listening, Tom,
he'll be listening later.
We passed the message along for you. So that's Michael Barnes. Thank you very much for coming out. We'll head off to a break, and when we come back, more interviews here at Lighthouse Lanes. You're listening to Turn 5.
Put down that greasy dirt burger and race on over to motorsportsnutrition.com. They fuel race teams and drivers like 410 Sprint Car driver Ryan Smith with healthy Advocare supplements and products. Visit motorsportsnutrition.com. Want to build a successful driver to race team to sponsor relationship? Visit www.horsepower360.com and consult with their expert staff that is trusted by 410 Sprint Car and World of Outlaws driver Ryan Smith. Horsepower360.com.
Hey Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700.
Welcome back to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, fueled by motorsportsnutrition.com and marketed to you weekly by horsepower360.com. Clint, we're headed off to the Turn 5 hotline, and we're going to bring in our driver that will be quite familiar to our dirt track fans here on Turn 5. And we're going to go over to the Turn 5 hotline and bring in a Supermodified Rookie of the Year contender for 2014, Jessica Zemken. Jessica, how are you today?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
We're doing very well. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's just dive right into it. A lot of eyebrows raised over this off season with the announcement of you coming over to the Supermodifieds.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something different than what I'm used to, and we had a lot of fun last year at the Classic, and it a lot more fun than actually I thought we were all going to have. I really didn't know what to expect. It went a lot better than I thought. It was a little bit to get used to all week long, but I had some really good people behind me with Core Pack Merchandising and John and Wendy Brush and Ray Graham and the Extreme Racing guys, and had a lot of patience with me to teach me a lot that I had to learn, and it was a really good experience, and the whole week at the Classic was a lot of fun, and got to work out where I'm going to be able to do it a lot more next year, so I'm really looking forward to getting behind the wheel and getting comfortable and getting racing around other cars, and it's going to be a totally different experience, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, and this is just another vehicle that you've driven to add to your resume. So I mean, that's got to be a cool thing to begin with. Now, was that the Classic this past year? Was that your first super modified experience?
I had tested once. I want to say it was 2 seasons ago at the end of the season with the wing. Just for a few laps, and then I actually tried to run the opener last year
Oh, that's right.
At Oswego, and it was in the same car that I tested, and we had engine problems all night and just couldn't even get the thing to run. So I really didn't get any solid laps at all. It was kind of more so like a waste. It was just a little bit frustrating, and then to go to the Classic and to be so much better and to get so much practice and to be comfortable in the car, it was night and day difference from the first time that I got in the car, the other car. So it was I guess you could say the Classic was really my first shot at doing it and being competitive and feeling comfortable in the car.
Yeah, and I think you qualified pretty well, too, if I remember right.
I think we were 10th. Yeah, it was good. I was really happy to do that. I didn't know what to expect going in, and there's a lot of good competition and a lot of guys with a lot more experience, and especially there, and just on pavement in general, and then a place like Oswego with so much history, and it's just a different track, and it was a cool experience. So like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot different, and I got a taste of it at the Classic, but it's going to be totally different on a regular Saturday night. Like I said, with the heat races and running around cars, and got into an incident at the Classic with a lap car, and just trying to run around them on the outside of two, and that wasn't very smart. So I definitely have a lot to learn. So it's going to be an experience, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun running one of those cars, being able to race with other cars around. So,
and part of Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I really didn't get any laps racing with other cars. It was mostly just testing by myself, and then time trialing, and then I think we made it to like lap 75, and it was pretty much just kind of riding and being patient. So it's going to be a lot different with other cars on the track and racing and being competitive. So definitely going to be a learning curve.
And part of the challenge up here, too, is you typically run your heat races under the sun, and then, the features usually start after the sun has set, and then you're under the lights for the features. So that's also got to throw a little bit of a wrench into try and get one of these cars set up.
Yeah, and I got to feel the difference when we tested the week before the Classic, because most of the testing that we did was during the day, and there was a lot more grip. And there was one night we stayed a little bit later, and they turned the lights on, and it cooled down, and the track got greasier, and it was a lot harder to get a hold of. So I got to see that and experience that a little bit in testing the car. But yeah, it is a lot different with the setup and driving it too. You're not into the track as much, but actually that's a lot more. It was similar to the dirt, not being so hooked up and being on top of the track and being loose and just trying to be smooth on the pedal and not spin the tires. So hopefully my dirt experience will help me a little bit later at night when when it cools off and gets a little bit slicker.
Yeah,
we'll see.
That's one of the things that I was going to ask you. Running sprint cars around here in upstate New York and the Fulton Speedway, you ran at Black Rock Speedway, tracks that typically they tend to loosen up later at night, and you have to drive the car more and pedal the car like you have the eggshell underneath it. And I was going to ask you that. Do you think running those tracks that you have trouble getting grip on a regular basis is going to help you when it comes to running Saturday night?
I honestly don't know if it's going to help me, but I sure hope it's going to help me. I tend to do better. I prefer slicker tracks with the sprint car just because it's harder to hook the horsepower up, and when you're spinning the tires, and sometimes you need to slow down to go faster. And a lot of guys, it's hard to figure that out because you think you want to go faster and you just want to stay on the gas, but being up on top of the track and spinning tires isn't going to make you go forward. So I've learned that the hard way growing up on dirt, and been able to be more competitive actually when it gets slicker, and I like that better. It makes the racing better. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun at night running under the lights at Oswego. It's just going to be a lot different because the supers are a lot heavier than the sprint cars, so the weight to horsepower is a little bit different, and not being able to correct your mistakes quite as much as you can on the dirt, because the dirt has a lot more forgiveness than the pavement. So, and just with all the left side weight, trying to learn not to correct it and not to save it, and just it's a lot different. It's a different experience. So,
for sure. And you've got, over your years running the sprint cars and everything, you've really built quite a following behind you. Have you had a chance to gauge the reaction so far from your fans and those who follow you?
Yeah, it's actually been very surprising. I hear a lot, even just going, after the Classic last summer and then still running some sprint car races towards the end of the season. It was pretty surprising to see how many people really took notice to the Super and had said, they hadn't been to Oswego in quite a few years and, thought it would be different for me going from the dirt to Oswego and they were going to come and check it out. And just got a lot of response going to Oswego and doing that. And like I said, there's so much history there and it's going to be really cool to be a part of it and to be able to go and compete there. And with a Super, it's just going to be a lot different. And it did seem like a lot of my fans are really supportive, and I think a lot of people that haven't even been to Oswego that are normal dirt fans that I grew up, going to the track and seeing just locally at Fonda and Utica Rome, are looking forward to coming to some races at Oswego. Just it's something different. So I hope that it'll help out Oswego and get their fan base back. I know it's the Tereses have been doing a really good job the last couple of years, getting it back to where it was, and hopefully I can be a part of maybe bringing some new faces in and getting some more people there in the stands on Saturday night.
Yeah. We asked our fans of the podcast to help us out with some questions to ask you, and I think the best one that we had come in was to ask Jessica one thing that she's nervous about running the Super Modified and one thing she's excited about.
I guess the biggest thing I'm a little bit nervous about is really that I haven't gotten the chance to run a Super and run around other cars. So it's going to take a little bit of getting comfortable. It took me probably 4 days of testing with Ray and Paul and the Extreme guys to just get comfortable in the car itself, being on the track by myself, not even worrying about racing around other cars, but just learning what the car is going to do and getting the car set up and the changes and the adjustments and feeling what they're going to do. So it took me some time just to get comfortable without other cars around me. So I think that it's going to be different with other cars around me, but I mean, growing up racing my whole life, it's still racing. So I'm used to being around other cars. It's just knowing how the Super is going to react to what I want it to do, and that's just going to be what I'm a little bit nervous about, I guess. But I think it'll be fine. I think once I get out and run my first race and first heat race, it's hopefully, I really think that it'll be fine. It's just going to be like another race, and it'll be just like running a sprint car, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As far as what I'm most excited about, I guess it's just, like I said, being part of the history and going to Oswego on Saturday nights and getting to run a Super and be competitive and, being part of a good team and having really good people behind me as far as Corpac merchandising and the Graham Racing team and learning as much as I can from them. I'm excited about that.
Now, we sit in here and we listened and we know that you have a lot to learn, and all good race drivers, you're learning every time out. What is your goal for the 2014 season at Oswego Speedway?
My goal is to win a race for sure. I mean, I maybe that's a high goal to set for myself, being a rookie at Oswego and competing against that competition, but I know that I have good equipment, I have good people behind me, and I know that I'm capable of doing it. Like I said, I know I have a lot to learn, but I'm up for the challenge, and I'm very excited about it, and that's definitely going to be a goal. I mean, if I didn't think I could win and I didn't think I was going to be competitive, I wouldn't be going. I wouldn't be considered a racer. I mean, that's just in my blood. I'm not going to ride around, and obviously I need to get experience, and I'm going to get laps and get experience, but I'm going to win, just like everybody else who pulls into the pits every weekend.
Well, Clint, she's been able to do that at just about everything she's been able to sit down into. So I have no doubt that that could be a definite possibility. Jessica, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate you taking some time out for us to talk about your ride for this year. And before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to thank your crew and your sponsors that are going to help you in the 2014 season.
Yes, well, thanks for having me, and like I said, my biggest supporters, Corpac Merchandising, and they're huge supporters of Oswego Speedway, John and Wendy Brush, wouldn't be able to do anything in racing without them right now. I mean, even with the sprint car, and they got me involved with the supers and gave me the opportunity to try it out, and got me hooked up with the great team, like I said, Ray Graham and Paul from Extreme, and the entire Extreme Racing team is just really good guys, and really helped me out to, get comfortable in the car and teach me what I needed to learn. So, like I said, there's still a lot more to learn, but I'm really looking forward to working with the team that I'm getting put with next year. So I guess it's going to be a really cool deal, and I just got to thank everybody for the opportunity and those guys for supporting me.
All right. Well, race fans, that's Jessica Zemken joining us here on the Turn 5 hotline. And again, you can see her here at the Speedway every single Saturday night in the 2014 season. Jessica, thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your off season.
Thank you so much.
All right. That's Jessica Zemken, and we want to thank her for her time here and joining us. Before we go off to break, we also want to thank all of our good sponsors, and we're going to give them some time here to tell you about their businesses, and we thank all of them that support us here on the podcast. We'll head off to break, Clint, and when we come back, we're going to bring in, we got two more drivers to join us. We got J.J. Andrews and we got Barry Kingsley, both from the small block super modified division. They're going to join us on the program, and it's already 12 o'clock, Clint. Before we know it, we're going to be out of here.
Yeah, kind of bittersweet.
All right, you're listening to Turn 5. Hey, Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700. Penn Yan Electronics is your Radio Shack dealer in Penn Yan. They have everything to keep your phone, computer, and home theater system sounding sharp. Visit them on Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan, or call them at 315-536-7700 and see our favorite salesman, Clint Miller. Welcome back, race fans of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. Fueled by motorsportsnutrition.com and marketed to you weekly by horsepower360.com. Going to our next interview here at Lighthouse Lanes, and before we get started with that, I want to thank everybody here at Lighthouse Lanes for welcoming us in. All it took was a simple email to say, hey, this is our idea, this is what we want to do, and both Danny K and the family here at Lighthouse Lanes said, absolutely, we're on board. Big supporters of the races here at the Speedway. So next driver up to talk to us, J.J. Andrews, part of the Team Tap Out team here at the Speedway, and one of the more unique names here at the Speedway. How did all that come about?
It kind of started as a joke, actually. Before Jason Simmons is our team owner, and before we even started driving for him, he had a tap out, whatever, in a sticker in the back of his truck. And I said, yeah, we should start a team and call it Team Tap Out. Ha, ha, ha. And then when Jason actually did start a team, that's what he called it.
Wow. It's funny how things like that, can sometimes start out as a joke and it just sticks, it just works. So let's talk about your racing history. I know you're running the small block super modifieds. Let's talk about, I know you do some writing. You really kind of got your hands in a few different areas of the racing world.
Yeah, I love racing. I'm hooked on it. I always have been since I was a little kid. I've been racing a long time and write for Gator Racing News and the program here at the Speedway and some other stuff here and there. And it's just a good sport, good people. I like it. Can't get away from it. I've tried to get away from it. I don't try anymore. I'm just going to stick with it as long as I can.
Gave up on that.
Well, you're just like the rest of us here. We've all been involved in racing. All of us here have raced ourselves before. And, I think we finally have found our niche of how to stay involved with the sport, but, maybe not go broke trying to do it.
It's addicting.
This is a cool venue to be able to talk to the drivers and different people in the sport about what they do. And I was really looking forward to asking you this question because you write about racing, the different venues of racing, asphalt, dirt, all of that kind of thing. Is racing really on the climb? Because it sure feels like it's climbing. What would your take be on that?
I really feel here at Oswego Speedway it's definitely on the climb. That this place has gone down a little bit. For a lot of reasons, economy is a big part of it, and different people doing different things. There's a lot more things to do now for entertainment. And the Terese's jumped in, and they're just into it. That they like it as much as the rest of us. They're not doing it to make money. I doubt they've made a penny, and probably be a long time before they do. But they're bringing this place back, and you see all these little things, over the last few years that just get them more and more attention and more people. They knew it wasn't going to be an overnight thing. I've talked to Eric and Johnny a few times. But they're building up slowly, and everything looks better every year, especially all the new teams that are coming in this year.
Yeah, and that's certainly part of it. It's amazing. I remember that first year that they took ownership. It's amazing what a little bit of cosmetic work does to make it feel different.
They jumped right on it. They started cleaning everything up, and they put a lot of money into it, and it's paying off. Hopefully this is a big profit deal for them at some point, but they know it's not. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
And now, how about on the racer part of it? Obviously, you wouldn't be doing this stuff if you didn't enjoy doing it. What's your favorite? What gets you to the track every week? What is it? Just the love of the sport? Is it
something about Oswego Speedway? I was a dirt guy for many years, and I raced on dirt. I started in '79, and Oswego was always the big place up on the hill, but you couldn't get there. Just super modifieds. But I didn't like pavement racing. I'm a dirt guy. I still feel like I'm a dirt guy that happens to race on pavement because Oswego happens to be pavement.
Sure.
Just the culture and all the people here, and you get wrapped up in it. I started coming a little bit in the early '90s and helping Mike and Bobby Bond a little bit. They were racing over here. They're my friends since we were kids, and it just I don't know. It sucks you in after a while. Now, if there was only one place that I want to go for a race, it'd be at Oswego.
Yeah, and you talk about the Bond guys there. I mean, those guys are no slouches here. I think it's Bobby that's got 2 classic wins now, and
yep.
And Mike's won a few SBS championships.
I think he's got 3 championships, and
yeah,
I think 29 features, more than anybody else, including one by me over me last year by 0.001 seconds.
That's
Still
right.
mad about that one.
That's right.
Wow.
That hurt.
I was going to say that.
That hurt.
Not to reopen an old wound, but that had to hurt.
Ugh. Yep, just a littlest mistake. He came from 18th that night.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying. I'm trying to think of somebody that I could compare. I mean, I'm thinking of like a Wonderling, Jeremy Wonderling. The guy that just a dominant guy. That's Mike. I mean, he could start in the back. He could. I remember coming up here one night. I used to film with Thomas Video. I used to shoot out in turn 3, and I can remember one night, lap 1 or lap 2, they piled them all up in turn 3. Mike was all up in it. They go in, rip some stuff off, get him back out on the track. He comes back and wins the race. I mean,
Mike.
That's Mike.
He's the king of that.
That's how that guy wins championships. You got to come back from that stuff. But let's talk about racing at Oswego. What corner is the toughest at Oswego? Is there a corner that's harder than any of the others?
Nah, I think they're all equally intrusive.
I know Camden perked up when we started talking about the tough corners here.
Yeah, just there's only 4 of them.
Yeah. Starting in the day and then going into the night, do you guys have to make a lot of changes on the car?
Not a lot of changes, but we definitely make changes.
Okay.
Sit down. We usually, after the heat and warm-ups, we have a powwow. Corey Norton has been my crew chief. I think just about the whole time I've been here, we have a powwow. Figure out, discuss what the car was doing and what changes we should make. And 90% of the time, we hit it right on. Last year, Barry worked with us a lot. Barry Kingsley worked with us a lot. So we had some real good conversations before the race, and we'd go back and forth a little bit. And most of the time, we hit it right.
That's cool. Now you've got, I know you've got some other drivers also involved in the team. How many drivers do you guys have?
It's a 3-car team.
Okay.
Jason Simmons is the owner of all of the cars. He drives one of them. He was 3rd in points last year and got a feature win. Jason drives the 98. I drive the 93. I was 4th in points last year and got a feature win. And he's bought a 3rd car this year. Barry Kingsley's going to drive. He's going to be number 91.
Cool. Now, this past year, was that the first year for Jason's team?
Second year.
Second year, okay.
Yep.
So you guys both come home top 5 in points. You both got a win.
Great year.
I was just going to ask that question. Was that the expectation, or was that above expectation? Or
definitely above for me. This is the second year I've driven for Jason. The first year, I ran my own car from 98, 97, 98. I got a feature win in 2001, and then I went another 11 years trying to get the next one. And when Jason asked me to drive, I sold him the car, and then he had me drive it. He said, well, we're going to get you another win. I said, yeah, that'd be great, but I never expected it would happen.
Sure.
We won opening night in 2012, and my season was made. Didn't matter what else happened.
Yeah.
It was good. And then got another one this year, and really surprised. It's the oldest car out there, and I'm just real comfortable in it, I guess, because I've been driving it so long.
Yeah, there's a guy that I've working on late models and stuff on the dirt. There's Jim Schuyler. He's from Himrod. I've asked him a few things here and there, and one of the things he always said was, "You can make old go fast."
Yeah.
It's just all about dynamics and angles, but you can do it.
And I don't know if that's the case in all divisions, but that's the great thing about this division. You don't have to have the newest, bestest, fastest equipment.
Yeah. I mean, your guys' class in the SBS division, that's on any given Saturday night, somebody else can step up and win. And something that you were just talking about, going from 2001 to 2012 before the next win, at some point in your racing career, do you start thinking about that stuff? Because you never know when the next win's going to come.
Absolutely.
Or is it going to come?
Around 2007, I think I quit racing full time. I just said I just can't do this anymore for whatever reason. I'm getting too old or too tired or whatever, running out of talent. I started winding down. I didn't race full seasons, and maybe 2007 or 8 was my last full season, but I just started running a few times, just mostly kept the car so I could run Classic with it. And then Jason bought it from me and asked me if I would drive it. But, I doubted myself for about 10 years there, and I got a lot more confidence when we started running so good in this car again. Jason propped me up and gave me some confidence, and showed a little confidence in me, and it's been great. It's been
Sometimes
great. Sometimes
that's all it takes.
I was going to say, it's amazing what a little confidence does.
Yeah.
Now, talk a little bit about being a part of Classic Weekend. I mean, bar none, biggest weekend of the year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, from start to finish, just it's got to be so special to be a part of that. I mean, even the divisions are lined up, and I know Clint's not been before, but everybody gets lined up on the front stretch. You get introduced. Just a really, really big deal.
Well, that's like I said. I just kept the car only so I could race Classic. I wasn't going to race it weekly, but I kept it in the garage and just so I could run Classic. That was my whole deal.
Yeah. Ran it just enough to stay comfortable to to be able to at least get seat time, because you don't want to go into Classic weekend not driven the car all year long.
Yeah, I did that once, and I think I did well. I think I
Really?
had a decent finish.
Oh, that's great.
If you got a good handle on your car, I think that, and sometimes you see that in the supers too. Some guys will start coming out of the woodwork in July, August, start getting ready for
Classic is a long race, and you don't have to have the perfect car or the perfect setup. You got to, if you get some breaks and miss some stuff, and your car is halfway decent, you can still get up front with it eventually.
Good.
Yeah. Now, before we have you thank your team and sponsors, I wanted to ask you this question that I thought that we would enjoy your answer. We're going to have a lot of folks that are going to listen to the podcast this week that probably haven't been to Oswego, haven't taken in, probably don't know what a super modified looks like until they saw it on our page. What could you say to race fans that would convince them that, you know what, we got to go out there and try that one week? We're dirt guys, but we got to go out and see that.
Just the professionalism, the close competition. The cars are very evenly matched. The supers are so fast.
They are.
Like I say, I'm a dirt guy, but I appreciate the speed of the supers. They're just flying so hard, and it's just a very professional, well-run place.
And if you had to give them one race to come out to, probably would be Classic weekend.
Classic is always my favorite race of the year, but for some people, I don't know if they'd want to make the whole day commitment. Just a regular Saturday night, and just with the two divisions, you get a real good taste of it, and depends on what happens, but every night is amazing to me.
And they have a week during the season where there's Mr. Small Block Super Modified and Mr. Super Modified. That's always a popular night too.
Everybody wants those.
Yeah, and I was just trying to. We pulled up the Oswego schedule, and it looks like the Mr. Super Modified and Mr. Small Block Super Modified is going to be Saturday, August 2nd. So you want to check that out. $10,000 to win for the Supers and $1,500 for the Mr. Pathfinder Bank SBS.
What makes that a little bit different is they do the handicapping based on the full season instead of the last 3 weeks for that race. And
okay.
So you'll have some guys starting up front that maybe wouldn't have, and that a lot of times there's a different winner, a new winner in that race.
That's really interesting. That I didn't know. So a normal week is handicapped the past 3 weeks.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I think that's going to be another one for our schedule.
Our ever-growing schedule of races we had to get to this year.
Yeah.
Before we get you out, thanks so much for coming out on your Sunday.
You guys having me down here.
This is really kind of a new thing for us, and hopefully something that we can keep rolling here. So
this is great.
I want to give you a chance to thank your team and sponsors and crew that help you get to the track every week.
Yep, definitely want to thank Jason Simmons, the owner. Our sponsors are Billy Whitaker Cars and Trucks, Thunder Road Bar and Grill. This year we signed on Jimmy James Barbecue, DNS Landscaping, Nice Price Auto Sales. The crew is Corey Norton, Barry Kingsley, Mark Slagiona, Corey Norton Jr., Brian Dana, Mikey O'Connor, David O'Connor, Greg O'Connor all help us out. Greg's got his own car too, but he helps on ours sometimes. It's really a lot of fun racing over here.
That's great. Well, thanks again, J.J. Andrews, for joining us here on the Turn 5 podcast. And we're going to get up to Oswego here, and we'll catch up with you guys and Team Tap Out. And we'll get over there. And Clint, I'm telling you, I got to get you to come up and see what these cars look like, how they run, how they operate. Be a lot of fun.
We'll work it out.
Good. Thanks for having me on, guys. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. We're going to head off to break, and when we come back from the break, we're going to bring in Barry Kingsley here on the Turn 5 podcast. Hey, Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700. Penn Yan Electronics is your Radio Shack dealer in Penn Yan. They have everything to keep your phone, computer, and home theater system sounding sharp. Visit them on Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan or call them at 315-536-7700 and see our favorite salesman, Clint Miller. Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. Coming to you from Lighthouse Lanes here in Oswego, New York. We are the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, fueled by motorsportsnutrition.com and marketed to you weekly by horsepower360.com. We've got our fifth and final driver interview here at Lighthouse Lanes, and going to be a new team member for Team Tap Out Racing this year, Barry Kingsley. How you doing today, Barry?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. So there was a few guys that in my travels here through the Speedway that I hadn't met up with, and you were one of them. So I asked Danny for a little information, and he was courteous with information. He said he'd keep all the good stories in the email. So
well, he owes me that. We raced a couple years together a little while back with the Supermodified with Danny.
Yeah,
he drove my car. Well, it was Tom Bliss's car, but I maintained it at my house. And
hey, I got to tell you, there was a picture of that car. I went to college with Danny. Didn't know who he was from Boo. Happened to meet him one day in a residence hall, and I friended him on Facebook, and I started going through his pictures, and there's a picture of him in a Supermodified. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've been up there filming at Oswego with Mel Thomas, and the kid that lives the floor below me in the residence hall is racing Supermodified. So I know that you were a longtime crew member. You're a fabricator for the team now that you're working with. How did you get started coming to Oswego?
It's tough. My mother has a house about 3 blocks away from here.
Okay.
And I always wanted to come up here as a kid. And my older brothers were quite a bit older than I was and didn't want me hanging around. And so as soon as I was able to get up here on my own, ride my bike and come up and just watch the races every Saturday night.
Oh.
And, just like a lot of kids through Oswego at that time, the race teams would just open their garages up during the week, and I'd go hang out at Steve Joy Jr.'s garage, which is also right down the bottom of the hill here.
Okay.
And just hanging out at the garage, watching them work on cars and doing the thing, and then coming up here and watching them race on Saturday night. That's all it took for me to get hooked.
Yeah. What was it? What was that experience like? I mean, you're talking some guys that are guys that have been at this racetrack for a very long time, and getting that experience with those guys, that's really got to be some good memories for you.
That's where it all started. And I'm not the only one. There's probably half the field up here started and got interested in racing that same way. I have a lot of appreciation for the garage work because of that, and I think it's important for us to carry that on to the kids that are around now.
Absolutely, and it seems like there's still that still happens. You can never have enough kids coming to the racetrack and trying to get them hooked, but
they're the future of the sport, hopefully, eventually.
Absolutely, but it does seem like there are a lot of kids that do come to the races here.
I think it was on a decline for a little while, and it's coming back up now. And a lot of it has to do with the local racing that's around for the kids, the quarter midget tracks, the dirt track out back,
sure.
The go-kart track out back, the bull ring.
Yep.
And that gets them involved in racing, gets the hooks in. And then when they get too old or it's time to move to the next step, then they naturally look at the small block Supermodified, the whole deal with Camden over here.
Yeah.
That's a natural progression.
Right.
So.
And I think probably for a while, maybe that progression wasn't there. The focus wasn't to make sure that both the Cartway and the Speedway have the same effort put behind them, because you're absolutely right. And you go to the Cartway on a Friday night, I mean, that's a hopping place. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's amazing how full that pit area gets. So, now, when was the first opportunity that you had to sit behind the wheel over here?
Throughout my time as a crew chief or a crew guy with the Supers, I'd hop behind the wheel a couple times, maybe just to do slow laps, or even if we had a short field, I'd take a couple green flag laps at the beginning of a feature and pull in. But that really wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to race, and at the end of the 2005 season, when we were done racing with Danny and Tom Bliss, I bought Bobby Garofalo's car.
Okay.
A limited super. Is what they called them at the time. And then I went full-time racing in 2006 on my own car, my own crew.
Yeah. That had to be quite a change of pace for you. It's something different for sure.
It was what I had been striving for as a goal since I got interested in racing, is driving my own car here at Oswego Speedway.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty big learning curve. I believe my knowledge and all my time of working on cars and hanging around just watching and asking questions really paid off. But the actual seat of the pants feeling, it was a bit of a learning curve.
Absolutely. Do you think that there was things that you could feel in the car that you as you're driving, you probably got that mind already going of what I need to do to fix what I'm feeling?
Yes, and I think that helped and hurt me at the same time.
That's true. That's very true.
Because instead of concentrating on the driving part of it while I was on the track, I was trying to think of what I was going to do to fix it. And I may have had 10 more laps left in the race.
Yeah. Well, that's very true. What's the hardest part, either to set the car up or to wheel around Oswego? What's the fight that you fight the most?
I think they're equally difficult.
Okay.
There's so many variables with both driving and setting the cars up, and you're only going to be competitive when you hit on all those variables
at the same time. Yeah. Jeez, I lost my question. For this season, this is going to be your first season with the Jason Simmons team.
First full time?
Well, this is going to be my first full time season driving for Team Tap Out.
Okay.
At the end of the 2012 season, when Jason got his new Hedger car with the Ford motor in it, I took over the car Jason was driving for that season.
Oh,
I
okay.
ran about maybe 4 or 5 races at the end of that 2012 season for Jason.
Okay.
And
You had a top 5 at the fall championship.
That's correct. That we actually had a really good race with Danny K that night.
Oh, okay.
Because he was in that race as well.
That's right. Very good. We've talked to some of the drivers about our running classic weekend. What experiences have you had with that?
I love that weekend.
Yeah.
Race fan wise.
Yep.
But I've never had any luck as a driver.
Okay.
I've ran that race every year since I started in 2006, and have never had a top 10.
Okay.
Some mechanical.
Always been something.
Yeah, mechanical failures or something. And I think the best car I had for that particular race was at the end of that 2012 season. I qualified the best I ever had. I felt really good with the car at the first couple laps. I just got caught up in a wreck of somebody else's doing it. Everybody wants to win that race, so everybody goes for it as early as they can.
Sure. And you guys, that race for you guys is 100 laps.
It's been different. It's been different amount of laps every year.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they've just hit on that magic number yet.
Okay. Now, in your mind, you could speak to both the crew side and as the driver's side. Do you think there's a number out there that kind of is close to the right fit?
I'm not necessarily sure it's necessarily the number that's the right fit.
Okay.
But qualifying format, lineup format, there's got to be something that meshes well for the whole field and the fans.
Yeah, and that's just the division alone on a regular Saturday night. I mean, that's a tough division. I mean, you guys get some really good car counts, and I'm sure opening night is going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, it'll be different opening night this year. There's going to be a good mix of veterans coming back and some really good rookies coming in that not necessarily rookies racing experience-wise, just here at the big track
Oswego,
with big cars.
Now, what I like, and you as a driver may not like it as much, but the fact that Oswego gets full fields every week, and they run a B main in Concy, because the dirt tracks around where we're at, some classes do, most don't, but the car counts are really good here at Oswego Speedway.
Oh no! As a driver, we want the full car counts.
Okay,
yeah,
we want full fields because. If you're successful when there's or if you win the race when it's a full field, it means you really earned it that night.
Right, you beat the best. Yep. Okay, I got you. That makes sense.
Yeah. And one other thing that we were asking about, on a normal race night, from your feel of the car and certainly your experience as a crew member, crew chief, the change from running the heats under the daytime to the nighttime, is it that significant a change?
It's different on different nights.
Okay.
It's one of those variables that we talked about earlier. Anything could happen to the racetrack. Before we run our feature, somebody might have blown a motor up,
that's true,
or anything like that, and that changes how the
humidity.
I don't think the track changes as much as a dirt track does, obviously.
Okay.
But there's different track conditions to take into effect.
Yeah.
If there's a visiting class like the modifieds, their rubber effects are set up for between heats and feature too.
Oh yeah.
Now I've heard that, like when you listen to NASCAR, they talk about I think the K&N or the ARCA series runs Hoosier tires as opposed to their Goodyears. That really does make a big difference as opposed to running the same kind of tire?
Yeah, it'll be a difference, whether it's a difference in brand or compound. If you put 20 or 24 modifieds on the track and between their practice laps and their heat races, laying down that rubber affects our cars and the Supers as well.
Wow. Now, that's really got to throw things for a loop for you guys. I mean, do you almost have to have a section of your notebook that's, okay, this is our notebook when the modifieds are here?
Oh, yeah, and that just comes with experience, and it comes with, how well you work with your crew guys and how much experience the crew guys have as well.
Sure. We're just about out of time here. I wanted to give you an opportunity to thank your team, your sponsors, the crew that they're going to be getting you to the track every week. And, it's got to be doing this interview and talking to you. It just seems like you're living the dream out there. So.
Well, I'm really enjoying this year and really looking forward to this year. Of course, I got to thank Jason Simmons and the whole Team Tap Out guys. My sponsors that are returning for this year I've had with me for a long time. That's the Front Door Tavern.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Wood Apartments and Red's Palermo Market.
Great.
I've also got to thank my wife and my daughter for giving me the time.
Absolutely.
And
yep. Very important.
It takes away from some family time sometimes, but they're behind me for it.
They enjoy coming to the races?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure my wife likes it in the pits sometimes, so she's started going in the stands and watching.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, in that that pit area can be a pretty volatile place.
It's a different animal. There's no doubt about that.
And not just with the cars driving by. It's a
driver introduction to each other has a tendency to be Be a little crazy sometimes.
We'll get you out here on one last question. As far as 2014 goes, what are you looking forward to the most?
Just being back behind the wheel full time. I'm looking for a solid finish in the points. If we could get all 3 cars in the top 5 this year, that would that'd be awesome. Really make our whole season.
Cool.
I want to win a race again. I want to win features.
Yeah. When was the last time you had the win here at the Speedway?
My last full-time season was in 2011. I won the Mr. Small Block Supermodified race here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I do remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, because you won the championship that year, right, in the SBS?
No, I haven't won a championship.
You haven't won a championship.
No, that's the Mr. Small Block the championship night.
Oh, just that night.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's a big
the points are set aside differently.
Gotcha. My mistake.
But still, it's a
big win.
Probably other than Classic, that's still the big race you want to win.
Yeah, that's you want. Yeah, it in order of importance with Classic, the Mr. Small Block Super Modified race and the Tony White Memorial race that happens on Memorial Day weekend.
That's right. That's a big weekend.
Those are the 3 you want to win.
Yeah.
Of course, you'd never give any of the other ones.
Oh
back.
no, never give a win away. All right, well, Barry, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate all of these drivers coming out today. We've been very lucky, and good luck to you this season.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Really appreciate you having me on.
All right, that's Barry Kingsley, and Clint will. We'll throw it off to one more break, and we'll come back and wrap it up here.
I just wanted to say that you can see all 3 Team Tap-Out cars at the Gator Racing News Motorsports Expo in Syracuse, right?
That's our target date to have them all ready.
Yep.
Okay. So look for those guys out at the Gator Motorsports Show, and again, we'll catch up with you guys as the season wears on and see how things are going. So we'll throw it off to break, and you're listening to Turn 5. Hey, Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700. Penn Yan Electronics is your Radio Shack dealer in Penn Yan. They have everything to keep your phone, computer, and home theater system sounding sharp. Visit them on Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan, or call them at 315-536-7700 and see our favorite salesman, Clint Miller. Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. Going to put a wrap on the show here this week out here at Lighthouse Lanes. I want to thank everybody. Clint, you'll be coming back out here in March, I know.
I will be here in March for my first trip back this year, because there's going to be a few more on a Saturday night.
Absolutely. And, just to give Lighthouse Lanes a nice plug here, what is it that you'll be coming back out for?
I'll be coming back out for Bud Bowl. It's one of the top New York State tournaments. Bar none. They get about 1,200 entries every year.
Wow.
And people come from all over. They had a winner a couple years ago. We came from North Carolina. All over the East Coast, guys come up, and this is kind of the premier tournament that they look into.
That's cool. And
it's weekend 8th, 9th, and 10th. Well, actually, it starts it'll start the 3rd, which is the first Sunday of it, and then it'll run all week long.
Okay.
And then it finishes up the following weekend. I believe it's the 9th or 10th, is whatever that Sunday is the finish.
Gotcha.
And these people are the best people to put on a show. Lighthouse Lanes is great. The Hoefers, this is awesome, man. This is a really cool place.
It's always certainly a very popular place after the races on a Saturday night. I couldn't count how many Saturday nights that coming up here working for the Thomas guys from Thomas Video, be like, oh, gotta stop at the lanes on the way home. Gotta get some wings before we go. And there's a few orders of chicken wings that I had to keep secret from Mel's wife when we got home because he'd get himself in trouble. But again, great stopping point here after the races out here at Lighthouse Lanes. I want to thank them. I want to thank our sponsors helping make this podcast possible. Motorsportsnutrition.com, horsepower360.com, and all of our good folks at Creekside Entertainment, Penny and Electronics, and Race Chaser Online and Speed 77 Radio. Tom Baker and Dan Kapuscinski were instrumental in helping get this on-location podcast set up, so I want to thank those guys. And some things coming up. Next week's episode going to be coming out. We'll be recording on the same night. It'll come out roughly the same time as we put it out on Monday night, Tuesday morning. Dean Reynolds from Empire Super Sprints will be joining us on the show.
Is that next week?
That's next week.
Wow. Another good show.
He'll be joining us along with Brett Dale, and I'm really looking forward to talking to Brett. That guy is working his pants off to get sponsorships and corporate sponsors on board with their series, with their short track super series. And a little tease, we've got a fun announcement and a promotion going on with Brett Dale that we will break next week on the Turn 5 podcast. So before we leave here, J.J. Andrews, Barry Kingsley, Camden Proud, Michael Barnes, Jessica Zemken, thank you, all of those guys, for coming out and joining us on the program.
Giving us 20 minutes on a Sunday,
Absolutely. On Football Sunday, no less. Championship Sunday.
We should do predictions even though it's a racing show.
Oh. The producer, Brad, wants nothing to do with it. I'm not even going to ask you. I know who you're picking, so.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with the Broncos.
Okay. And how about the NFC?
The NFC, I think that I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Oh.
They're playing with a little bit more of an attitude, and they seem to be – their offense is getting healthy at the right time. Now, having said that, if it's a close game and it comes down to at the end, then I think Seattle's got the moxie to pull it out.
Well,
but I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Even though we're a racing show, I don't want to see Tom Brady win. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I don't want to see Tom Brady win, so I'll go with the Broncos. And as far as the NFC goes, I really think it's a toss-up, but if I had to go with anybody, I'd have to go with my old man Johnson and go with the 49ers. So that'll be on my pick as well. Thank you guys for listening to this week's edition of the Turn 5 podcast. Remember, next week, same time, same location once we get it posted. And we've got some exciting things coming up with our show. Thank you guys for listening. Next week, Dean Reynolds and Brett Dale here on the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. Before we go out, as always, race fans, be sure to check it before you wreck it. Good night, everybody.